Hello everyone and welcome back to Politics Far From Home. Things have been progressing fairly quickly since the election, with the coalition starting to form and divide its duties. A coalition of pro-Latvian parties, as they've described themselves, led by the Progressives and united in the world's biggest tent, with the New Unity, United List, and National Union. Meanwhile, Šleses and LPV, now joined by Stability and New Latvians, have started to talk about how the election was fraudulent and they're planning a bunch of protests against the results. That's three parties that made it into the government, one of which received the most votes and seats out of anyone, and a party that was celebrating it as a victory before realizing that's not how it works and they're not getting in the coalition. I personally think it's a bold move to scream stolen election after you've technically won it, but what do I know about politics anyway? As those stories are still developing, and likely will resolve enough for a video on coalitions in the coming week, I decided to take a break from the more serious discussion to bring you what really matters: funny memes. For as serious as people take politics, the good majority also will admit it's funny when your president calls someone a fat.
Look, here's the deal.
Or talks about kissing a bunch of men on stage, or in Latvia's case, asks, "Who am I?" with a joker-ass smile in the middle of a serious interview. Let's get crackin'. I want to start with some fairly OG stuff from Latvian politics, and perhaps there's no better example than the one I snuck into my first political video. This man is Ingmārs Līdaka. He's a renowned Latvian zoologist and nature conservationist, who I and many others saw consistently on our TV screens as kids, showing off the wonders of Latvian wildlife. He's also a current member of Sajmu with a fairly long political career, formerly a member of the Greens and Farmers, now in the United List. In 2009, while the Sajmu was discussing the Latvian flag law and other matters, Līdaka was speaking when another member of Sajmu, Nikolai Kabano, member of Harmony at the time and Stability now, started yapping a little too loud, prompting an agitated Līdaka to shout, "Shut your mouth!"
Valsts neatkarības diena ir svinama Aizver Muti!
Kabano was also at the time suggesting the removal of two major national independence holidays from the official list of celebratory days, which also prompted the outburst. This sort of became a national rallying cry in the form of a widespread meme for a good while. Shirts were made, websites were redesigned to feature it, and kids like me were going nuts about our favorite cool nature man telling someone to shut the frick up. Very cool. Now from a moment of unbeaten cool to a moment of unbeaten fool, lads. Latvia having a long history in the Soviet Union means we have a long history of English being taught by people who had never met a native speaker in their lives, and those teachers would then teach the next generation and so on, and the end result in politics was that almost none of our politicians, a good starting majority former Soviet ones, had more than a basic, tenuous grasp on the language. But a sense of misplaced pride in their 2-bit education from over 30 years ago led many to refuse the use of translators during interviews, most infamously the case of Atlajs, who in 2008, as our Minister of Finance, did an interview with Bloomberg, and, oh boy.
How did we get to this point in Latvia? What happened?
I think you're Nasing Speshal.
His performance was mocked relentlessly and got a fun little parody on one of our most popular skit TV shows at the time.
What about the situation with the so famous bank, Parks Bank?
People happy, people sing and dance and shopping, fishing, sporting, driving, maybe some little alcohol and driving. It's Latvia.
Also, fun fact, Slakteris is equivalent to the word butcher in Latvian, so people did make the obvious joke about him butchering the interview. In 2011, our then President Valdis Atlajs declared a referendum to fire the entirety of Sajmu for wasting resources and being stinky poo-poo bad. Also because they had just denied the police the right to conduct a warranted search of Šleses residence. Two things came out of it, besides politically meaningful things such as the emergency Sajmu elections and Zatlers losing his presidency in the interim. One being this fantastic clip, which Atlajs would kind of embrace and write a book with the title Kas es Esmu, meaning literally, what am I?
Kas es esmu?
And by the way, no, it didn't make sense within the context of the interview. And 2, this was the first time a referendum like this had passed, and ever since, people have been saying Atlajs Sajmu, either due to genuine perceived slights by the government, or because they're shitposting. Essentially, it's become our own thanks Obama. Oh, and here's our follow-up president, Andris Bērziņš, asking the media if they've been beaten recently. I wanted to do a whole separate video on KPLV and Artūrs Kariņš, the rocketing of his party to the forefront of Latvian politics and exploding due to zero cohesion, but the long and short of his existence is that he was a popular online and radio personality who did a bunch of popular interviews, made his own party, got into politics with promises to bring in real politics to the people. But Aldis Gobzems, his number 2 man, who went on to create the multi-failure party, which was initially called Law and Order, said in a recorded conversation with the man that, and I quote, "I didn't think that people really needed change. That's not true. It's all an illusion. All they need is to get drunk on Saturday and that they get a cutlet." Which combined with this edited screenshot of Kariņš, claiming that he complained about Sajmu having inadequate portions, to make for a bit of a laugh about the death of democracy. Our next president, after Andris Bērziņš, started strong. It doesn't get much better than your very first statement as president being, "Guess I should have a swig first."
Laikam no sākuma jāierauj.
So real for that. When it comes to memory, the president then passed that torch handily to our next prime minister, Kariņš. Love him, hate him, be indifferent towards him, one thing all of us as a nation could probably agree on is that this man had an unbeaten talent to unintentionally say the most hilarious shit. Here's a few classics. Draugi nav labi, meaning friends, it ain't good, during COVID.
Draugi nav labi.
The president at the time, Kariņš Levits, also had the gem of people who die of COVID-19 won't have Christmas, which, I mean, true, I guess. Showing each other our eggs during Easter, where eggs is synonymous with balls.
Krāsojam olas, rādam viens otram savus olas.
And here's a few gems that require no context to be funny. There's more money than there's ever been. Lots of money.
Nauda ir tik daudz, kā nekad nav bijusi. Ļoti daudz naudas.
Every person's life in our country is a tragedy. Doing all of these things, we will consider 2 things. Maybe together in front of a shared cutlet, there will be unity. Again, with the cutlets, man, I'm hungry. Oh, and this is more of a personal thing, but his name is Kariņš, which is also a diminutive form of the word karš, meaning war. So when a history prof during an online lecture started talking about mazi kariņi, aka little wars, I made this. What I'm saying is that getting a history degree is not hard. And I think I will end today's episode with another beautiful quote from the man Einar Schlesers himself. You see, a woman's prettiness must come from the guts. Remember to leave a like, comment, and a sub if you enjoy the content and share it with a friend. I've been Walter K, and I'll see you in our next episode of Politics Far From Home.